Hey guys, welcome back. This week we're going to discuss the wildfires and what they can teach us about how to manage our emotions. So the wildfires have been raging out here on the west coast for the last couple weeks, and not so much anymore. I can finally begin to see my hand in front of my face. But I can't help but draw analogies between wildfire management and emotional management. I mean, what causes wildfires? Well, there's something called plant matter, or I think it's plant litter. Deadfall, I think is the technical term for it. Deadfall, just dead foliage, not foliage. Thank you, Simpsons. Lisa's wedding. Dead foliage that just falls to the ground in a forest. It dries up, this dead plant matter. It's much more flammable than just regular live plants. And then you have some instigating cause, some catalyst from the outside. This year it was lightning. It could be anything. And it just burns up all the dead plant matter, the deadfall, and it causes a forest fire. I'm like, man, this is just like emotional management. But yeah, so how do you manage a forest fire? Is you go in and you do planned burns. You do planned burns of the deadfall, so when a forest fire does happen, which is a natural process, it doesn't suffocate the entire west coast. You walk around, you can't see your hand in front of your face. Like, this is exactly how we manage emotions, right? What is the deadfall in our psychology? It's the resentments, it's the regrets, it's the anxieties, it's the things that we don't talk about, it's the things that we're hiding from other people, and it collects. It's nothing bad about the force, it's nothing bad about your psychology, it simply collects. Like I've said before, if you're been in a relationship with anybody, any kind of relationship, work, friend, romantic partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, partner's a bad word around here, a romantic relationship, and you don't have resentment after a day and a half, right? You're just in denial, of course. Resentments are natural, they're going to build. It's all in how well we communicate it, just like the deadfall. It's going to accumulate, it's going to build. It's how well do we manage it. And then something happens outside of us, just like in the forest fire, right? The lightning this year, a girlfriend breaks up with us, we lose our job, I don't know, somebody dies, some catalyst happens outside of us, and then the forest fire happens and we go crazy and we become, in a sense, psychologically incontinent, and we begin to exhibit behaviors like a forest fire that we cannot really control. And we think it was the girlfriend, the job loss, our mom or dad dying, but that wasn't it. That was just the instigating, the inciting incident. That was the catalyst. That wasn't really what caused it. Sure, it probably wouldn't have happened without that, but those things happen too, just like lightning happens. So we think it's a problem with the thing out there, but it's not. It's in us and how we manage our own deadfall, our resentments, our regrets, and how exactly to talk through them. And then what politicians are doing now is what a lot of people do with their own psychological issues, like blame something outside of them. Now politicians, I know our governor, Gavin Newsom, and Nancy Pelosi, they're blaming global warming. This is something about global warming, which, look, I'm not a climate scientist. Some of what may have caused these forest fires could have been due to a global climate change that may be man-made. I don't know, I don't care. But even if that's true, right? Even if Nancy Pelosi and Gavin Newsom are correct to blame global warming, they're still not. It's still not the main issue. Sure, maybe global warming going on, it could aggravate the situation, but wouldn't that make you that much more conscious of the importance of doing a controlled burn? And it's just like in regular therapy. We can blame our parents, we can blame issues outside of us, we can blame society, and you may be right about that. And it becomes really a learning when you are right about that, when you are right about the facts. It could be the case that you have a difficult time connecting with other people because you were never able to connect with your mother or father because they had their own emotions to handle, and yet you were, in a sense, an emotional imposition on them. That can all be true. But in order to manage the issue now, in order to manage the forest fire now, we got to look at what we can do. And it turns out there's a lot we can do. There's a lot we can do to prevent forest fires, and there's a lot we can do to clear out the deadfall, the foliage, detritus in your psychology. And this is why it's so important now to do maybe a controlled burn, which maybe 100 or 150 years ago. Same thing in managing our emotions. Maybe 100, 150 years ago, you didn't have to do a controlled burn because there weren't enough people around. So when there was a really huge forest fire, or a lot of them like there were this year, it's not that big of a deal, right? But this is the problem of modernity. This is the problem with managing our emotions in the society, where we have tons of opportunity, not only for connections with way more people than we ever had previously, but now we have the opportunity to distract ourselves in way more ways than we previously had. And it's not a problem with modernity. Like, it's not a problem. It's, are we going to blame the forest fires on, oh, well, there shouldn't have been that many people on the West Coast anyways? Well, no. It's just now we have to manage the nature of the forest differently. Now we have to look at the nature of what our emotions are and really get clear about what they are and how to manage them. Like, we look at the forest nature, okay, we need to do a controlled burn. We look at the nature of our psychology and go, okay, we need to do a controlled burn. We need to go through the resentments, the worries, manage them in an appropriate way, so when the lightning does strike, when the girlfriend does break up with you, when your parents die, there's going to be a fire, of course, but it's going to be much more likely that you're going to control it. I know here at Animus, I think it's important that we see ourselves as, not separate from cultural events that are going on, right? It's really easy to do that, to sit back and go, oh, look at this bad thing going on out there. Oh, look at these people out here I disagree with. And again, like making the excuses, like the blame, like, the secondary emotional payoff, that's really alluring when you're right about that thing. But we also, I think it's going to be really important for your psychological health. Not just for your psychological health, I think it's true that cultural issues out there are a reflection of what's going on with you. And the same thing with maybe a non-cultural event or a natural event that ends up being a cultural event, like a forest fire. And so that's what we work on here. Right? We look at how to clear out the dried, dead foliage, the deadfall, the plant litter of your psychology, how exactly to do it, how to talk through the worries, how to talk through the regrets, the resentments, the jealousy, the frustration. There's a way to talk about it. But not only a way to talk about it, but there are specific things in your life that you need to talk about them in a certain way, and that is the best way. I have found to really clear that stuff out, so you're going to be much more resilient when things inevitably happen, which of course they do. So yeah, that's what we work on here. Do free consultations, animusempire.com/schedule, and I'll leave it there. Oh, and by the way, thank you for the 900 subscribers. We passed 900 this week. That's awesome. I mean, what can I say? That's really sweet. I know this may not be the most exciting channel on YouTube, but I at least hope to give you some perspective of what's going on with your psychology. Let's just at least look at the nature of what it is. Like, I think it's important to look at the nature of a forest fire so we can manage that. Let's look at the nature of your psychology. So at least when something bad does happen, at least when a forest fire does happen, it makes sense. At least we can make sense of what's going on. So thank you, 900 subscribers. I'll leave it there. Like and subscribe. Tell one friend. And remember that you need to talk through your emotions so that your life is a powerful, controlled burn and not a wildfire.